Ladies and gentlemen, my guest on Sextimony is Dr. Elijah Nichols. How are you doing, doctor?
I am fantastic today, sir. How are you?
I am doing great as well. For those who are unfamiliar, please give the people just a brief description of who is Dr. Elijah Nichols.
I'm Dr. Elijah Nicholas. My pronouns are he, him, his. I am a transgender black male. I am a retired military officer, retired from the Air Force, and I am all things happiness, joy, positivity, love, and light. And I'm so excited to be here today.
Now, what's great is that people who are familiar with JeVaughn and any show that he hosts, everyone knows that he gets names completely wrong to begin with. And that's on purpose to give the artist an opportunity to really talk about who they really are. So you passed the first test.
Awesome.
Dr. Nicholas, I have to ask you, as a man who is a big fan of vagina, how does one go from a vagina to that other thing?
Well, let me just say that I am a man who is also fond of the and uh, the other thing, I haven't done the full other thing. If the other thing is the other thing, I don't know how much we can say on here, but I still have the one thing. So I'm a man who loves the vagina, who happens to still have a vagina.
Did you grow up as a member of the faith-based community, someone who grew up in church and serving and worshiping and all of those great things?
I absolutely did. I grew up with a Christian background. My family went to Southern Baptist Church. We grew up Baptist. I was baptized AME. I came to Georgia, found an inclusive church that welcomed me as a lesbian at the time, and so I have been in church all of my life. I actually am a former pastor. I like to consider myself. I say I'm an ex-pastor, and we'll get into that if you like. But yes, I did. I pastored ministries and grew up with a very strong faith-based church, faith-based home.
How did your faith impact your decision or impact your identity?
My faith impacted my decision and my identity. My faith, or I will say my religion that I grew up with, is what prevented me from living fully. My faith, right? My faith and my spirituality is actually what drove me to live in my complete truth. So, as I said, I consider myself an ex-pastor. One of the reasons that I left ministry a couple of years ago as a pastor, I closed down all of the churches in 2018. I was separated from my now ex-wife and I started my gender transition. I began to expand consciously beyond Christianity. And I lived a life up until that point as a lesbian. And coming out as a lesbian was extremely hard. My church, my mother, like I said, she raised us in the church. And so we grew up with a very strict home, church every Sunday and Bible study and summer vacation, Bible school, and all of that. So I experienced a lot of guilt growing up. So much so that I experienced depression and drinking and a whole lot of things that were just unhealthy, things that did not coincide with what I now know is God. So I got to the point where I could not live like that anymore. It was literally a matter of life and death. And as my faith started expanding, as my conscience started expanding, and I started understanding truth in a new sense, then I got to a point where I said, you know what, I cannot live my life as a lesbian anymore because I'm a boy born in a girl's body. And so it was really my faith, my spirituality that drove me to live in my complete.
I'm sure the journey, even just being able to come out as a lesbian, was tough when it came to the Christian household that you were living in. And I know that your faith gave you the strength to make the decision. How was that decision received, though, by members of that faith?
So, let me go back to 14 years old when I came in to tell my mother that I was a lesbian. There was a Bible on the table, and my mother sat at the table, and I knew something was wrong when I came in. I was 14 years old. She asked me, she didn't ask me if I was a lesbian. She asked me if I liked girls. And my mother and I are close. We've always been close. And so I could not lie to my mother in that moment. And I said, yes, I like girls. Well, my mother, being raised in a Christian church based home, taught me the way she was taught. She taught me what she knew, and she told me I was going to go to hell. I was never going to see my family again, and the whole afterlife thing. And so I wanted to kill myself. I really did. I wanted to kill myself. So that was the first thing. So my mother and I, we got through that. My mother is my best friend, biggest supporter. And so fast forward to how the church responded. Um, it's been interesting, right? So my all of this happened for me at the same time, closing the ministry as well as starting my gender reassignment as well as my divorce. All of those things happened at the same time. And oh, by the way, it happened within 6 months after I was affirmed as an apostle, right? So all of this happened um, initially privately, but I decided to go public with it. Uh, and the response was interesting. The response was not what I had hoped for, because I had formed what I thought was a safe community. I had formed, or not formed, but become a part of other couples and groups many were in ministry, and they simply did not understand Tasha, that was my former name, uh, saying that she was going to transition to now Elijah, he. And it was very painful for me, to be quite honest. It was extremely painful. One of the most painful things that I've ever gone through. But it's okay because now I'm able to talk about it, I'm able to teach about it, and I'm able to extend love, joy, and light to people who may not understand. Because what I understood is that we make those decisions and make opinions about others oftentimes out of ignorance. So the church members' responses, quite honestly, I'm not saying that they were ignorant, but I'm saying that all of us have information that we need to learn in order to make informed decisions. Now everybody is great. Now that on the other side of it. Um, so yeah, it was a bit of a harsh response.
Going back to the identification that you experienced when you realized that you, as Tasha, a woman, was more attracted to other women. What's that first moment that you can remember? Was that first moment one of fear? Was it one of joy? Or was it something where you just didn't even think about it because it was just one of those moments where it felt natural?
It felt very natural, and I remember it, and I was like, "Whoa, wait, what is that? I'm not supposed to be feeling that. That's a girl."
And so when you have that response where you're a girl and Tasha is now liking someone of the same sex, and you got that moment of wow, and it's something that just feels natural. It's a moment of clarity for you. Is it a moment of, okay, I'm going to walk in this now forever? What was the next mindset? Because there are some who are going to recognize that, you know what, my identity isn't the same as my brother's identity. Me as a female, my identity isn't the same as my sister's identity. What am I supposed to do next?
Mhm.
How am I supposed to express these feelings?
So at that time, my initial reaction was, "Don't do that." You are not supposed to feel that. That is abnormal. You're a girl. She's a girl. Tuck it away. And I tucked it away as long as I could.
Mm.
I promise I did. But then, I was 14 years old and I started getting like those little tingly feelings on the inside and like the whole bubbly, like, oh my God, like I really like this girl. Like this is not like oh, she's cute or he's cute. That was oh my God, I'm in love. So at that time, I tucked it away, right? But now I would absolutely not encourage anyone to do that, right?
Mhm.
It. I think that we're in a time now where, first of all, children get it. These young adults that I run into now, that I meet, they're able to openly say, I'm gay, I'm bisexual, not as much transgender, but I think sex and sexual identity and gender has a whole new meaning and new perspective these days.
Now, I have to ask, as someone who is just terrible at finding women or picking them up, do you approach women the way that you as a woman wants to be approached? Like, give me some inside tips. What is your game, Dr. Elijah?
So let me just say, I've been single now for 2 years. So I've not had the I won't even say courage. I just have not approached women yet. I did attempt to invite a lady for tea when I first started saying, I think I'm ready to date again. But that didn't go so well. And I was just like, oh, that was a bad idea. But
Mhm.
I think that to answer your question, I've always thought like a man, and that's always been like kind of an interesting challenge for me dating lesbians.
Mm.
I dated lesbians early on when I started dating, but I quickly realized that lesbians didn't work for me as a lesbian. Now it makes sense because I'm a guy. I've always been a guy. My brain is wired like a guy. And so once I realized that dating heterosexual or bisexual women was better for me, even as a lesbian, then my relationships changed tremendously. So now I'm in an interesting space because I'm transgender, I present as male, I'm everything about me is male, but there's that one thing that I have to share when a woman, like, oh, by the way, I can't give you no babies with my sperm.
Now, I will admit that I've been around. So I'm in faith-based entertainment. So clearly, I'm around a lot of homosexual men, lesbian women, not too many transgender in the community. So I already knew that coming into this interview, I was probably going to say, 50% of the things that I'm not supposed to say. Is there What is the one thing that maybe is the more irritating thing about being a transgender? What is it that someone like me, who is accepting and an advocate and all that other stuff, can change to be less ignorant about it?
So for me, the main thing that if you will irritates me is being misgendered. And oftentimes being misgendered meaning someone refers to me as she, her, using those pronouns, or may refer to me as Miss or Miss. That's the one thing that still bothers me, quite honestly. It doesn't bother me as much when I'm, say, around someone who doesn't know, like they may see a name. For example, I still go to the VA and my name is still under my old name and under my old gender because the VA is a little bit slow in being changed. But so I understand and I give more grace. The first couple of years before I started presenting as male, I was misgendered more often than I'm hardly ever. I can't remember the last time I was misgendered. Now, um, so usually honestly, when a family member does it and they know that I've transitioned, or a close friend, and they know that I've transitioned, it's kind of like the grace period is over. But if I meet somebody new and it happens, my energy is pretty good, and I'm usually able to see you just being catty, or versus this is a time for me to have a teaching moment. So it just really depends on the situation. What I advise or recommend in every setting now, which is why I said my pronouns when I introduce myself, is to find pronouns, because you might have someone that's trans or non-binary that uses they, them, and theirs pronouns. They don't want you calling them Mr. or Mrs. So that's what I would suggest. That's one thing.
And I'm definitely gonna try to be better. I think I'm pretty good with the pronouns. Once I know, I can pretty much go through there. I guess I would have expected there to be more ignorance when it comes to the conversation, like, oh, so body parts and touching things and blah blah blah. So I guess I'm good that the world isn't that immature, or isn't as immature as I know myself to be. So good job, world. The reason why you're here, of course, which is the book. Can you tell us about this wonderful children's book that you have created for the world?
Thank you for asking about my book. So my book is called Madoodle, and it's a book about a little girl named Madison. And Madison is navigating the journey of her uncle, Pete, who used to be her auntie Mary. And she's navigating that whole journey. This book came about because when I started my first started my gender reassignment, I didn't have any tools, I didn't have any resources for my amazing nieces and nephews. And I was like, how do I have this conversation with them to tell them that, oh, auntie is now becoming uncle, is now Elijah. And there were, when I say no resources, I mean no resources with people who look like me in the books. There's some LGBT resources out there, but none that had the diversity that I was searching for. Created it, and it's just been amazing. It's available on Amazon.com. The ebook is out now, and the print book will be out in the next couple of days. And the response has been it's been wonderful, because not only is it a book about transitioning, but it's a book about pronouns. I talk about pronouns in an entertaining way, and I talk about what Uncle Pete is going to look like when he comes home after his surgery. And at the core of the book, it's really about compassion, unconditional love. That's really what it's about. So anybody can read this book and have some positive things.
And the book is simply amazing. And I want to make sure that as many people get to see this book as possible. So Sextimony is going to do a contest. We want 5 people. No, not listen. Let me take that back. We want 100 people to do what I'm about to ask the world to do, but we're going to select randomly 5 people. I need everyone to not only go to Dr. Elijah Nicholas, not Nichols, go to Dr. Elijah's social media, Instagram. And then I need you to tag Sextimony and do at Je Vaughn Show. We're going to do 5 random selections, and I am personally going to give 5 books away. So I need everyone to right now go to Dr. Elijah's Instagram. I need you to show support. I need you to hashtag Sextimony. I need you to at Je Vaughn Show, and we're going to select 5 people to give the book to. Does that sound all right, Dr. Elijah?
Oh my gosh, thank you. Absolutely. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I really, really, really appreciate that. Thank you.
My pleasure. So how can they find you, and how can they find the book?
They can find me on Instagram, Dr. Elijah Nicholas. That's DrElijah Nicholas, Nicholas on Instagram, and on Twitter, Dr. Eli Nicholas. Please follow me on Instagram and on Twitter. And I'm also on Facebook, Dr. Elijah Nicholas. You can find the book on Amazon.com, and it's called Madoodle, Madoodle, Madoodle.
Fantastic. I need everyone to rush right now to go follow the Instagram, go follow the Facebook, go see if he has a MySpace. And then once you do all of that, again, I need you to show some love and support. Hashtag Sextimony at me, at Je Vaughn Show. And you could be in the running to get one of the 5 books that we're going to be giving away on behalf of the Sextimony program. Dr. Elijah Nicholas, I really appreciate you coming on the show, for sharing your story, for allowing me to just kind of put out some of the questions that general people have that just don't know, and for allowing your story to be maybe something that will inspire someone to really embrace their identity. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate this opportunity. I appreciate you support the book, and I appreciate you allowing me to share my story and my testimony here. And I appreciate you. Sextimony, hashtag Sextimony. Got it.
Hashtag it. God bless you.